Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie! That felt good! Yowie wowie. Let me in.
Well, hello out there and welcome to this week's episode of Abby's Window. We are fired up for this one tonight. It was an unbelievable event last Friday on SmackDown. Been kind of chomping at the bit to come out and talk to you guys all about that SmackDown episode. And of course, what we're getting tonight. So it's almost like a preview show for us as well, which is very, very odd. But we are getting Bray on Raw tonight as well. So welcome to all of you. As always, we've got Jeff with me, and we have our resident Abby. Jodie Gilly is here with us tonight as well. Welcome to everybody. Let me say a quick hello to as many people as I can very quickly, and then we're going to get right into it because we have got a lot to cover. Hello, KJ Carter. How are you? Yo to Kevin Correa. How are you? Jay Legacy, welcome to you. DJ B Tazzy coming off his tailgate party. Hello to you, man. How are you? We have Sean Brissette in the chat, Butterspark in the chat. Hello. James Chadwick, hello to you. Moda says, Moda alert. Welcome to you, man. Mike Lister is here. Welcome to you. Liam is here. Welcome to you. Dave in real life, welcome to you as well. Nails is here. Welcome to you. Sunny Wolf is here as well. Meme Collector 30, welcome to you. Chris is in the chat. Welcome to you. Timbo 869, welcome to you. Steve Walker, welcome to you. Callan Corner Jesse is here, and C Wrestling is here as well. All right. Before we go any further, first of all, let me say that if you are not and already unsubscribed to our channel, and I can't imagine why, and especially if you were watching on Facebook or any of those other places right now, please pop over to the YouTube land and subscribe to our channel, hit the like button on this video, and throw on those notifications so you know when we are coming at you with stuff. So please do that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. All right. Let me do a quick recap. So we all know what went down. We all knew Kevin Owens and Alexa were going to speak on Friday on a special edition of the Kevin Owens show. He came over from Raw in that goofy, dumb thing, switcheroo crap that they do. I have no idea. Please, God, when this draft is over, no more switcheroo stuff. But yes, Kevin Owens appeared on the show. Alexa came down, and right off the bat, you saw Alexa was not the same Alexa Bliss. Did not come down the same way. Did not come in the ring the same way, all bubbly and full of life like she does. She was very different. And of course, Kevin asked her some questions, saying that she wasn't the same person that he knew, saying that she reminded him of Aleister Black. So Aleister's name is mentioned quite often during that as well. And then the two of them were just chatting a little bit back and forth. And then it got to the end where Kevin Owens said to her, "He's here, isn't he?" And then that was, and I honestly did not. I really honestly did not see this coming. And of course, I'll ask Jodie and Jeff about that as well. I did not see this coming. And then when the lights went on, I was almost expecting Alexa to be the one that did something to Kevin Owens. I was almost expecting that. And then, of course, that was not the case. We got Bray in the ring. Bray immediately goes in, mandible claws KO. KO kind of fought it a little bit, but he did mandible claw him. He put him down on the mat, and then he turned around and he looked across the ring, and Alexa looked back, and they looked and they looked and they looked until we got the handhold from hell. The handhold from hell is what you're seeing there. We got and then, of course, Alexa looks at the camera and smiles into the camera, and we hear, "Let me in," and it fades to black. So amazing, absolutely amazing. A little later that night, we got an announcement from WWE saying that Bray is being invited to the Kevin Owens show on Raw tonight. So, all right, let's dig right in. Jeff, I'll start with you, and then we'll go over to Jodie. Jeff, what did you think of I know what you thought of it because Jeff was texting me. Jodie was texting me. My phone was exploding. Jeff, unreal, man. Unreal.
Yeah. I didn't see that coming, and it was cool to see that. And I just honestly, I have to give kudos to Alexa because she's played this role so well, and this descent into where she is at this moment has been really done well. And I'm really happy that we got a chance to see The Fiend. It feels like it's been forever, even though it hasn't been as long as it probably feels like. But anytime we can see him is always a good thing. So I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, man. Look at this comment. Can Bray, oh, there it is. Can Bray have a run-in with Liv Morgan on Raw? Then he can have a blonde on each show. Bray deserves that. Wow. By C Wrestling. All right. Jodie, I know you have been talking about this with me on Friday. So first of all, what did you think about this whole thing? And I mean, Jodie was the one who researched and found out that they do have a little bit of history, not much. But Jodie, tell everybody. Yeah, tell everybody what you found out. If you haven't already seen that on the Twitters on Friday, tell them what you found out about him and KO. And what did you think of all this?
Oh, I was super excited. I completely marked out just like everybody else did. Yeah, I was texting Jeff and Joe about it and kind of like brainstorming and theories. And so I wanted to do some research because I think the big question was, all of this story going along, it was all about revenge. That's what The Fiend is all about. Getting revenge for people that had wronged him in the past. So I was like, why KO? I don't think they have a lot of history together. So I started doing some research, and they did have a match at a house show back in, I think it was 2016, in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that was really the only match that I saw them have, or kind of interaction that they had on a show, even though it was a house show. That I could find. And I was kind of scrolling back through KO's Twitter a little bit. I did a little search for, KO and Bray and things like that, and found that picture that he had posted on Halloween last year. And it was KO in an Eeyore costume, and he said something like, the next contender for that masked dude's title. So he was kind of ribbing on Bray a little bit, and that was really all I could find. So I think we're still kind of left with that question, why KO? How does he fit into, Bray's revenge plot story that he wants to do? So, but I thought it was awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It definitely was a swerve because we were expecting, Jeff Hardy, or for him to go after Paul Heyman or Roman, somebody that he had a big feud with in the past. So yeah, KO is definitely unexpected, but I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of us talk in the chat, and this isn't just here, but we talk in other, our other shows about Kevin Owens, and a lot of people love KO. He's the kind of a guy, he's just a hard worker. He comes out and just kind of does what he does. Hasn't really been involved in any kind of main event thing, except for the Seth Rollins thing that he did in WrestleMania. And then he was, people kind of really didn't know where he kind of stood, like where, now he's a face, he was a heel. He's pretty much going to turn around and saying he was trying to turn his life around and be more positive and that kind of stuff. And he didn't really know. And then we got this thing with Aleister Black, and Aleister Black came down, and then they kind of started a feud. And then you thought, okay, well, I guess KO is going to be, there's going to be something with Aleister Black. But then it just, look, Raw has just been insane. It doesn't have a lot of structure like SmackDown, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later because a lot of my stuff with this relies on that. But it just, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of structure. Maybe this is just a way of giving Kevin Owens some structure here. Obviously, this is going to continue now tonight. We're going to see him on Raw with Bray in the Kevin Owens show on Raw tonight. So I'm sure maybe we'll get some answers there. If he's talking to Funhouse Bray, of course, Funhouse Bray will come out and he'll give you the stuff. He'll give you the skinny, so to speak, on things other, of course, the Fiend doesn't speak. So he'll get some answers maybe from Bray tonight, which will be cool. And then that leads us to Friday, which is the first match the Fiend will wrestle on a show, not a pay-per-view, not dark matches, on an actual show. And again, I'm gonna let you guys know what I think of this in a little bit. After we kind of all talk about what's going on, we're gonna have the McMahon boardroom. I teased it a little bit earlier, but we're gonna have a little McMahon boardroom here, and I'm gonna tell you what I think is going on with this. And of course, I'm gonna let Jodie and Jeff do the same. All right, so yes, so we got the pairing now. I mean, let's just unpack this a little bit. So, like Jodie said, not a whole lot of history there. So it doesn't kind of seem like it's a story that is involved maybe in Bray's main storyline because of the revenge angles that he's doing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the only possible thing, and it's a reach, is that Kevin Owens came down and was questioning Alexa, and that pissed him off somehow. But I don't know. It's a reach at best if that's the case. Jeff, why KO? Why Kevin Owens, do you think? And do you see this going far, or do you think this is a draft thing where they're just going to do this until they get to the draft? They're going to have the match the night of the draft, and then what happens after that happens after that.
I think it could be quite a few things, honestly. One, I think that we're looking at a history for the Fiend or Bray Wyatt and KO, but let's keep in mind that Alexa Bliss and KO have a history. And the other thing that I think about this is I think this could be an opportunity to elevate KO at this point, because honestly, he deserves it. So what better way to skyrocket Kevin Owens than to put him with one of the hottest talents in professional wrestling right now? So maybe, we get a little bit of backstory, and maybe we find out that not everything that happened between them was an in-ring thing or, a wrestling thing per se. Maybe they take it personal. But I mean, honestly, I think it does wonders for Kevin. But I also think that it could be a precursor to a draft move. But, I'm kind of up in the air about it, but I do think that some of Alexa's past with Kevin Owens is also playing into this.
Yeah, that's a good point. C Wrestling says if Alexa is a Fiend, her story with KO could be a reason for this. Nails, a fan, tweeted him saying he needs to go back to fight Owens' fight, and he responded by saying, maybe I should, says James Chadwick. Let's see who wrote this one up here. Joey's Adventure says, I think next week Aleister Black attacks Kevin Owens during his match with the Fiend, which causes a DQ. Black then gets drafted to SmackDown and feuds with him because Fiend never forgets the loss. That's interesting. I mean, everybody would love to see that. I know a lot of people were saying like a fantasy matchup is Aleister Black and Bray. Again, no real reason with each other. They don't have any history at all. But Rated R Wrestling saying tonight is going to be epic. Nail says I think KO could defeat Bray. I don't think KO could defeat the Fiend. Yeah, well, I mean, and we've gone through that before. That Bray persona is his persona that if he wanted to lose, that's the persona he's going to lose with. So absolutely. I mean, that could certainly happen. All right. So Jodie, you said about the theory that they don't have a lot of history. So what's your take on this? Why do you think it's Kevin Owens? And why now? And then when you're all set, then I'm going to get a little bit into what I think. But why do you think it's Kevin Owens?
I think this is a wobbly walrus thing.
Okay.
If you remember, Vince brought Wobbly Walrus in to kind of guide Bray. So obviously, Devil Vince and Wobbly Walrus are kind of combined together. They're kind of stitched together. So you could see Wobbly Walrus is doing Vince's bidding inside the Funhouse. So I think, we could tonight get a Funhouse episode, where Wobbly Walrus is saying, I told him to do that. That's the direction I wanted him to go. And that would make sense too. If Vince wants to give KO a push, that would be a good way to do it, by having Wobbly Walrus tell the Fiend to go after KO. That's my little spiel about
there you
that,
go.
I guess. I've got some more theories, but one of them goes a little bit deeper than that.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll get to that as well. Moda says KO did kind of say the magic words that he wanted to understand what Alexa's going through and understand more about the Fiend. The only way to do that is to let him in. By the way, when Alexa said, "Let him in," and screamed it, dude, I got chills. I got chills. It reminded me of like a horror movie when like kids turn around and say stuff, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. By the way, speaking of horror movies, The Exorcist happens to be on like right now. So just saying. It's like right now. So anyway, all right. So I always kind of try to look at this in a little bit of a different way. I kind of try to look at it from a business standpoint, and this is my theory. This is the theory that I came up with from a business standpoint. All right. So, and we're gonna let's take a little stroll, shall we? Let's take a little stroll down the hallway of the WWE offices into Vince's boardroom. Okay, Vince's boardroom. So imagine. The big boardroom is there. Vince is sitting on one side, and on the other side are sitting the Fox executives, right? So Vince is in one corner. Fox executives are in another. So here we go. The Fox executives say, "Hello, Mr. McMahon. Why did you have us come to the meeting room today?" "Hello to you as well, Fox executives. I had you come here today because, well, for lack of a better word, Raw pretty much sucks. And I need to fix it. I tried this retribution crap and it's just not cutting it. So I got to get this going. So the best way for me to fix Raw, well, I've got to have a Fiend. I have to have a Fiend on Raw. When I had the Fiend on Raw, it was going. We got ratings. It was doing really well. So I need the Fiend." Well, Mr. McMahon, we think that's pretty much out of the question. See, because, Bray makes us a lot of money too. So we really don't want to give it up. We don't want to give up that character at all. There's no way I'm sorry. And look, we have a big stake in this. You gave us our own show. We get who you are, but listen, we're Fox. We're owned by Disney now, man. And we need the Fiend. All right, well, let's make a deal. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have the Fiend and this little thing with Alexa Bliss going on, right? And the Fiend is going to make Alexa into, well, let's say a mini Fiend. Let's say maybe we'll call it mini Fiend. I don't know. She's going to be a Fiend. So technically, you're not going to lose the Fiend. Alexa's going to be your Fiend. I'm going to take the Fiend over to Raw. Hell, you know what? We may just get Fiends on every show. Let's put Fiends on NXT. We need Fiends everywhere because, well, Fiend makes me money. So we're going to have Fiends all over the place, but this is what we're going to do. You're going to keep Alexa. Bray's going to come to Raw, and this is why everybody wins. I'm going to get ratings. I'm going to make a lot more money, and everybody's going to be happy. So there you go. That's what I think it is. I think it's a business decision. I think that it is. Listen, they know that Raw is not doing well. Raw is sinking, and they know it. What better way to fix Raw? Now, you guys are going to say, well, maybe put someone else there. Put Roman there. Roman ain't going anywhere. Roman not going anywhere right now. So Roman next to this storyline, probably, and who knows, maybe even more with the younger fans because kids love Roman Reigns. That story that he's got going on now is the top storyline in WWE. He is not moving. And remember, Roman was the guy when SmackDown started. Roman popped on the screen right at the beginning with the Superman punch, but all the way back to when my voice is okay, Tazzy. I kind of thought it was going to die. You're right. But it will later. But yeah, so Roman isn't going anywhere. So you have to split those guys up. Roman and Bray can't be on the same show. They're both the top sellers in merch. Roman gets the kids. Fiend gets the tweeners, the adults, and probably some kids too. But they're the top merch sellers. You can't have them both on the same show. And I think it's that simple. I think it just got to be the point where, okay, Fox isn't giving up Roman. He's staying. He's got the storyline going with Jay as well still. There's other people down there he can kind of feud with also and mix and match some people from the draft. Put Bray on Raw. And now we're seeing that Bray is on Raw tonight. And I think that match that we've got coming up with Kevin Owens and Bray is a farewell match. Fox may have also made a little bit of a deal and said, all right, you're taking him. We're going to have him on the show for his very first and what could be his only match on SmackDown this coming week. And that could have been another part of the deal as well. So I think it was, if you want to call that simple, I think it might have just been that simple. I think the two of them had to be split. And I think that this is why it happened. I think that this is all part of the deal. I also think Alexa, because I know a lot of you said, because people were telling me that you don't think that this would happen because you don't think, I think they're going to get split up. I don't think they're going to keep them both in the same show. Now, some may disagree, and Jeff and Jodie may disagree with me on this. I don't think they're going on the same show. I know what we saw, but I don't think they're going on the same show. I think Alexa's going to stay on one show. I think Bray's going to be on the other. Now, do they somehow, I think C Wrestling talked about this in his video, do they communicate back and forth? Can they use the Funhouse as a window, segue, Abby's window? Can they use the Funhouse to talk back and forth with each other? I don't know. Could Alexa have something of her own? I don't know, but I don't think Alexa's going anywhere. I think Alexa's going to stay. I think Bray's going to go. I think Bray's going to get drafted. Maybe it happens right after that match, which I'm sure is probably going to be the main event this Friday. Maybe right after that they say, okay, Bray has been drafted to the Fiend, has been drafted to Monday Night Raw. That's what I think is going to happen. And then Butterspark, yes. Time to give Brett. Well, what if Randy Orton wins the title? What if Randy Orton beats Drew McIntyre and wins the title? You can stick Bray right back into a title picture. Right at that point, he can go right back after Randy Orton. And we all know that we want that Randy Orton storyline. So you can you can fix the lineups. You can put some people on that side that Bray could feud with. You can move Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy could get shifted over to Raw as well. So line him up. If he's going to be the guy, if he's going to be your big merch seller, then fix it so that you can set up storylines with him going down the road. So that's my opinion. That's how I'm looking at things. So let's go through Jeff. What do you think of, where do you think, and of course we're going to talk draft a little bit later this week because we have a draft special on Thursday, but after this happens tonight, well, first of all, let's just take it step by step. What do you think is going to happen on the KO show tonight with Bray? You think, Kevin going to call him out? Is he going to come down to the ring? Is he going to stay in the Funhouse? We talked a little bit about it earlier. And what happens on Raw that we could get as a lead into SmackDown?
I think we get a Funhouse episode of Bray. I don't think we get him out in the ring, but I do think we get a Fiend attack tonight, and I do think that's what will lead to SmackDown on Friday. In terms of your thoughts on the draft, I can see it too because, right now. As Mr. McMahon said a little bit earlier, Raw sucks. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's not very good right now. And I honestly think it was in a holding pattern because of the draft coming up. So what better way to shake things up, as Mr. McMahon says, than to bring the Fiend over and just turn everything upside down. And I think that's what will happen. In terms of him being split from Alexa, I think I could see that too, because honestly, at this point, it would be good to still have that Fiend presence, even if it's not Bray Wyatt on Friday nights. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you on those.
That is an excellent point. And Jody and Jeff and I all talked about this the last time we got together, and we talked about it via text, saying that, and you guys have said this too in the chats, where you didn't even really, Bray didn't have to be there. Bray was on vacation. I mean, Jody showed me some pictures. Bray was on vacation. So on, seeing stuff on JoJo's Instagram, they were out on a boat or something like that. So they were gone. And he didn't have to be there, and we're still talking about it. We're still talking about the Fiend. You're still talking about all this stuff. So they don't need to have him there. And that's the thing. That's the key for me. You don't have to have him there because of what they're doing with Alexa. And with Alexa, and Jeff and Jody both said, I know you guys said in the chat too, I'm not the only one saying this. We're not the only one saying this. Alexa's killing this. She's killing this. She's getting compliments from wrestlers. Bubba Ray, Mark Henry, a couple other wrestlers I have heard that have shows are all saying that her acting is top notch. They're saying that she really bumped it up from what she was doing prior, and that her acting in this has been top notch. And I agree. I absolutely agree. All right, Jody, what do you think happens tonight? I mean, oh my God, everybody's anticipating a Raw. When is the last time we could say that? And look, see, Vinnie Mac is working. It's working. Look, he's on Raw, and you're getting heat. You're getting generated heat for Raw tonight because, and it's not because of a 6-man tag. It's not the 6-man tag that's generating heat. It's Bray Wyatt that's generating heat tonight. So, Jody, what do you think goes on tonight's show? Now, we heard Jeff's. Do you think it's going to be something similar? Do you think he will come down to the ring? Because we don't see that much. We saw it, we saw it once with Cena where he appeared in the ring. Do you think there's a possibility he comes down, or do you think this is all like Jeff said? Is it from the Funhouse? And then if that's the case, do we see Fiend come out as well at some point? Maybe they give Kevin Owens and Aleister Black a match tonight. Maybe there's an impromptu match made. Maybe there's a Fiend attack at that point. So do you think it's going to be something similar?
I agree with Jeff. I think it's going to be in the Funhouse. I don't really see him coming down to the ring. And then perhaps at the end of it, getting a Fiend attack, setting up for Friday. I think adding to what you said, Joe, about Bray going to Raw, initially I was like, nah, I really don't see Fox giving him up, but I could see Alexa going to Raw because there's more options for her in terms of who she can feud with. Because if you think about the women's title on SmackDown, it's Bayley and Sasha for a while. But if you put Alexa on Raw, she can go up against Asuka pretty easily. But after hearing kind of everything that you've said, now I'm starting to rethink that. And I think I agree with you. I think the best option, I think tonight is a test to see, they've hyped it up. They're going to say that Bray's on, they've said that Bray's going to be on Raw. I think Vince is going to be watching the ratings and the, how many people are tuning in very, very closely tonight to see if his theory is correct that Raw will be better with Bray on it. As far as him and Alexa goes, if you guys have watched, I got to go into my theory a little bit because I'm chomping a bit. So yeah, if you guys watched, obviously you watched the segment with Alexa. If you listen carefully to what she says, she talks about being brainwashed, that her brain has been washed. And I know I posted it a couple of days ago, a promo that Bray did back in 2014 when he was first coming out with this cult leader character. He says, well, Bray Wyatt, he's just down there brainwashing folks. And he says, you got me on that. I'm brainwashing all of you right now. Brainwashing all the filth that, they've been put into your head since the day you were born. So when she said that, it immediately made me think of that promo. And I know C Wrestling has done a theory video about this, about Bray still being a cult leader. And I 1,000% agree with him. I think Bray is still very much a cult leader because also, if you haven't listened to it, back in 2016, he did an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast, and it was like an hour long. So if you want some backstory on how Bray came up with that cult leader character, go listen to that. It's amazing. So he talks a lot about, that he watched interviews that they did with Charles Manson and got a lot of inspiration from now I can't remember the name of the movie. Cape Fear.
Cape Fear. Yeah.
So, and if you know anything about cult leaders from watching documentaries and stuff, they do what they can to appeal to the masses. So I think the Fiend is a tool for Bray to bring more people in. And if you think about, when you're joining a cult, it's fun on the surface, and that's how they draw you in. And I think that's what Funhouse Bray is. He's the face that draws you in. Come and be part of my family. It's fun. This is where we can all be together. We can all be safe together. And then once you really let him in, quote unquote, you see the dark side, which is the Fiend. And so I think the Fiend is another tool for him to get more people. And I think that's why he's recruited Alexa. And I also think that's why they're going to be split up. Because if they're split up, they've got both shows covered.
Mm-hmm.
And they can recruit as many people, appeal to as many people as they want to. Because now they're everywhere. And Alexa even said that he's everywhere. Well, if they split them up, and one of them's on Raw and one of them's on SmackDown, they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you could even look at all the other people that he's come in contact with too. You could call them brainwashed. Look at Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. They're all different. They've all been brainwashed. So he really is everywhere. And I think he is very much still a cult leader. And I definitely think they're going to get split up, and they're going to reach more people, recruit more people, and change more people. And that's my little theory.
I love it. Look, you want to know what's so cool? Vince has a guy here now, and I don't know if Bray made this as part of the reasoning behind this character, but Vince has a guy now. If you want to change someone, if you don't like where that person's going, throw him in there with the Fiend and make him change. And that's exactly what he's got. Like, he's got somebody that can change crappy personalities. Like, if you've got somebody that is stale, completely stale, have the Fiend go in there and just change them. And now, like Jodie said, if you have Alexa Bliss now you've got somebody who could do the same thing with the women's division. So this could save like tons and tons of people in the women's division, that where you get to a point where their character is just so blah and they don't know what to do with them. So they write them off of TV. Well, instead of doing that, throw them in the ring with them, and then they change it, and then all of a sudden it rejuvenates their career. Maybe they decide to go back to NXT, like Ember Moon we saw last night. It's going back to, maybe they do things like that. It's amazing.
And I think that's the point behind the Wobbly Walrus puppet. He's going to be the one that says that person needs a change. Go after them.
Oh,
and it also,
that's a good point.
It also, if you think about it too, I mean, we've talked about this a lot before. There's only so many people that the Fiend can go after for his revenge story. He's going to run out of people. And even if you say, well, people will still turn on him, they'll still hurt him, he can still go after them. But if he's going after people that hurt him in the past, he's going to run out of people. This is a way to ensure that the Fiend remains current and relevant, and that he will always have somebody to go after, because now he's got this spokesperson to say that person needs a change, go change them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because when we all talked about this too, like, where does he go? If he does eventually come up with Randy Orton, everybody's saying that Randy's the one who hurt him the most. So if he goes after Randy and that's done, well, where the hell do you go? Where do you take the character from there? So you do have to kind of start making a path to think a little long term. Because it's not like Bray, Bray's going to change this and get rid of this persona and just take the mask on and be like, oh, okay, I'm going back to Husky Harris now. I'm all done.
Yeah, now he doesn't have to.
Right.
He doesn't have to anymore. So we did talk about that, and somebody's going to have to defeat the Fiend eventually. Well, now you don't have to do that.
Yep. Yeah, that's it's really good. It's really amazing. I totally agree. Let me see. You guys are commenting like crazy. Let me see if I can just read some comments. Dave in Real Life says Vince is testing the ratings tonight with having Bray on the show. Yes, that's exactly what Jodie just said. Yep. If the ratings go up, expect them to challenge the Fox bosses. Look, if that hadn't already been done, then yes, I agree with you. Shane Loki from Facebook says, I don't think Bray and Alexa should be split up. They have put so much into this and Alexa's storyline, but I could be wrong. Yeah, like I said, I think though that they wanted to look like David just said that, they're testing things, and what better way to kind of test things than when Bray's not around. Right. So Bray was gone. He was on vacation. He wasn't around. So you give Alexa this and say, you know what? Go run with this and let me see what happens. Well, they saw what happened. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. Everyone loved it. People loved it. It was being talked about. It was the talk of the show. Like I said, if it wasn't for Roman Reigns and his heel turn, this story is the story I heard talked about most on WWE. Was right after Roman Reigns. So this is right up there. People are wondering constantly what's going on. They want to see Alexa Bliss now. She's must-see TV. So yes. Absolutely. KJ Carter saying Alexa Bliss is the female Fiend. It could be. Very well could be. Now, whether she wears a mask, we don't know. Whether she maybe just puts some makeup on her face in some way or something like that. But look, she's changing, guys. The wardrobe's changed. She's wearing black boots now. She's wearing a kind of a lacy little black, like a skirt. So the wardrobe's changing. So are we going to see, they're going to be more to that? They're going to be a face change as well. We'll see. But I mean, a lot of people kind of are getting that whole Joker Harley thing, still kind of running with that. But I don't know. I don't think so. Because you're not, to me, that doesn't make logical sense because you're not really helping either character at that point. If you have Alexa just be a valet, you've done all this stuff to build her up to walk someone down to the ring. And what is she going to do? Is she going to get involved? Maybe, and she's not going to get involved in the match because then that makes the Fiend look weak. So I don't think that's where it's going. I think that what you saw was Bray kind of accepting her. Like that's why he held his hand out saying, okay, you have been let in. You have been let in. And now you're going to progress. And you're going to be on your own. It was almost like an acceptance thing, like when you're kind of, there's someone else coming up the line, and you're going to kind of say, okay, now go be you. I think that's kind of what that was. That was my thought anyway.
Well, and what I liked about it is that, for the past several weeks, it's been more like she's obsessed with him, and he didn't really care. You know what I mean? And whereas on Friday, he chose her.
Yeah.
He's the one that held out his hand first. He picked her. And, like we've been talking about too, even though he wasn't there, you still felt his presence. You still knew that he was involved. And I think that's another reason why they're going to separate them, because it worked. And there's no reason to keep them together. They're not going to have tag matches or anything crazy like that. I think they're going to run both brands.
Yes. Sean Flagstaff, great comment.
And,
I think the role. Go ahead.
Also, if you look at, I think that also gives them both the ability to go on both shows. I know that you don't like that, Joe. You don't like people bouncing back and forth. But if you look at how they introduce the Fiend, they say the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Now, if you get the Fiend Alexa Bliss, the Fiend is on both shows. So can they interchange each other and be on both shows, because the Fiend, quote unquote, is on both brands?
You could sneak around it that way, yes. Yeah, you can skirt around it that way, because if they draft Bray Wyatt, then they don't have to explain the Bray Wyatt. I mean, everybody's just going to assume, okay, well, they drafted the Fiend. Well, no, because he's not. That's a different personality. So, I mean, because listen, and I could be wrong. And wrestling people and historians out there tell me, Brandy's not in the chat, but historians out there of wrestling tell me that this didn't happen. Maybe, Jeff, you might be able to chime in on this. Did not at one point on drafts, Mick Foley's different characters get drafted? Because I kind of think I remember that happening. I may be wrong, and I'm getting old and I'm losing my mind, but I'm pretty sure I remember that happening. I'm pretty sure I remember that they may have drafted Cactus Jack, that they may have drafted, so, are they going to do something like that? And if not, then that's a good point. That's a great point. That's a great point. Let me see if I can go back to Sean's comment, if I can see it. Oh, there it is. Sean said, I think this role for Alexa is so she doesn't have to rely so much on her wrestling. That's a great comment, because she was hurt quite a bit. So they may want to preserve her a little bit as well. So yes, that's a good point. She doesn't have to be. Alexa sometimes gets a little acrobatic. People had said she gets a little crazy too much sometimes, and a little too much energy, and that they kind of said she may have to tone it down a little bit if she wants to lengthen her career. So yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
But
Jeff,
if she's a female version of the Fiend, the Fiendess or whatever, she can do the same things that Bray does, and she doesn't have to be in matches all the time. She can attack people just like the Fiend does.
Yeah, no, that's true. Did we lose Jeff? Jeff, are you still here?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to research.
Okay. Oh, okay. Jeff was looking up my buddy Mr. Google. Mr. Google has to give us an answer. I don't remember. I could swear though that I may have seen that at one point, but again, like I said, who knows? I'm old. Yeah, but that's a great point. That's an absolute great point. Could they snake around the draft by doing something like that, where the two of them? Yeah, great point. Great point.
And then you don't have to worry about who Bray's going to feud with, because if Randy's on SmackDown and Bray's on Raw, he can still go to SmackDown and challenge Randy.
Yeah,
it's fine.
True. Yeah, that's true. Moda says, I don't remember Mick Foley's different person. Yeah, Moda's watched wrestling for quite some time too. I don't remember Mick Foley's different personalities getting drafted to different shows.
Happen.
Okay, it didn't happen? Okay, well.
No, because the brand split and all the drafting and everything didn't happen until 2002, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, would have been a cool idea. And I made that up in my head, apparently. So there you go. Elijah says, I love Liv Morgan, but Alexa Bliss was the perfect fit for Bray Wyatt, and she's not bad on the mic at all. So everything in those two have good chemistry. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Alexa has been a great heel, and I think that they probably turned to her for this. But look, isn't it cool, though, how they did go all the way back to the Swamp match? They put her in that match because they were thinking ahead, which is amazing to me. Like everybody says on how the writing is terrible. Oh, writing is horrible in WWE. Well, apparently it's not in some cases, especially SmackDown, and especially whoever's looking. And if they're working with Bray on this, dude, God bless Bray, man. Get that movie. make that damn movie, dude. Like, man, honestly, like if you're thinking this darn far ahead, and we've heard that from Kyle, and if that's true, oh my God, dude, good Lord. Like go you have a career in writing horror films when you're done with wrestling. That's all I could say. So yeah, I mean that's absolutely fantastic that they thought that far ahead into this. So I mean, because obviously go ahead.
I don't know that it means that they thought that far ahead. I think they put her in the match because it fit with the Braun story, and then they saw how hot it was, and they're like, "We got to keep this going." I think it could be either way. They could have really been thinking that far away, but I am more leaning towards that they saw how hot the response was, and they're like, we got to keep this going.
Could have been mind games. Yeah, it just could have been mind games for Braun. Remember, too, guys, Braun is now a part of Raw, it looks like. I mean, he was on Raw Underground, so, Braun looks like he's already been moved, so I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up there. And, we all know that Braun and Bray are friends in real life, and, sometimes the guys that are up higher on the pay list for the superstars, they kind of can get to dictate a little bit and say, okay, I like him to be here, and maybe I can be here too, and stuff like that. So, maybe that's playing a part in it too. Braun is now there as well. So yeah. All right. So let's get past that and let's get into Friday. What do we see on Friday? What do you guys think is going to happen on Friday? So let's start with Jeff. Jeff, what do you think is going to happen in this match with KO and The Fiend? Do you think it goes any further than this? Do you think we get to? Do you think this will go to Hell in a Cell? Or do you think that this is kind of a one and done draft, and then wherever they go, they may end up going their separate ways, because maybe Kevin Owens goes to SmackDown, maybe Bray goes to Raw, they change him up a little bit, and maybe that's the end of this. Where do you think this goes? And if it doesn't go any further, where do you think the Fiend's going? I mean, I mentioned Randy Orton. I mentioned maybe Jeff Hardy gets moved. Where do you think the Fiend goes next?
I think this is a match that will lead to something else. Maybe not long term, but I think it'll happen again at Hell in a Cell. And I do think that we'll start seeing some changes with Kevin Owens. Probably in between Friday and Hell in a Cell, and then once we get past Hell in a Cell, we'll really start to see some changes. And I don't think it's something that has to go on for a long time, because I think the natural thing to happen next is for him, especially if the Fiend is going to Raw, is to start to build towards him and Randy. I don't think that's going to happen right now.
Right.
I think we'll start to see that happen somewhere around the Royal Rumble, because I can completely see the Fiend entering the Rumble this year, winning, and having Orton win the title off of Drew.
Okay.
And then that just sets up for a WrestleMania moment for those two, because the story is big enough for those two to have it play out at WrestleMania as opposed to any other pay-per-view during the year. I think that's probably the way to go. You can throw a couple other people at them between now and the Rumble, but I think that's the natural progression, at least from my standpoint, what I would go with if I were writing this.
Okay. John Cena Gamer says, I hope Alexa and Bray aren't split up in the draft. I'm sure there are people that want to see what the culmination of that is, but if they do want to do that, I think that they'll tell the story. I think they'll tell the story of what they're thinking of doing, what they want to do between tonight and then between Friday night. I think that if they do decide to split them up on two different shows, I think we'll get that story told as to what direction they're both going in, and I think we'll get a culmination or an answer on that. All right. So Jodie, do you think this match on Friday? How do you think this ends? And I know we were talking about Hell in a Cell. Please, God, no toolbox in the Hell in a Cell. I don't want a repeat of last year. If I see a toolbox, I may call Vince on the phone, on the hotline. I may get the Vince hotline, and I may have words with Mr. McMahon if there's a toolbox in that ring. So where do you think? Do you think this is going to continue? Do you think that? I mean, what do you think ends up happening Friday night? And do you think that this stuff with Kevin Owens continues into Hell in a Cell?
I'm going to add something to my Paul Heyman theory before it leaves my head. So if you go back and look at the picture, I can actually post it here in a little bit. When Alexa was walking up the ramp and she passed Roman and Paul Heyman, and she looks back, and everybody thought that she was looking at. Everybody thought she was looking at Roman and the belt. I don't think she was. If you really look at that picture, she's looking at Paul Heyman. She's staring him down, and I think that's why. When adding to that theory that Heyman or Wobbly Walrus is the one calling the shots. he's the one telling Bray, this is who you need to go attack. So if the Fiend is really pissed about that, he's going to be mad at Paul Heyman. And I think that's why Alexa looked at him that way. Anyway.
This is a great shout too, guys. Look at that picture. It's up on her screen right now. Her eyeballs are not down. If she was looking at the belt, the eyes would be slanted and down.
Mm-hmm.
She's not looking at that belt. She's looking to the side. You can clearly see her eyeballs are in the corners of her eyes, very specifically, not down. So that's a great shout. Yep.
So yeah, that adds to my theory that Paul Heyman is the one directing who the Fiend is going to attack, and the Fiend is not happy with it. So I think on Friday, obviously, I think the Fiend is going to emerge victorious. Either he'll emerge victorious, or it'll be some kind of weird finish, like it gets called because the Fiend goes too far or whatever. I don't know.
Like a DQ,
yeah. I don't really see this going much farther. I think this was, like I said, kind of a test, to set up. I think it'll end after the draft, and depending on what happens in the draft, I'm not really sure who's next after that. Yeah. I would really like a feud with Jeff Hardy. I think that would be really good. But if Wobbly Rawless is the one calling the shots, you never know. It could be anybody.
Yeah. I wonder if we see Wobbly tonight. If there is a Funhouse, I'm sure we do. We have so many people that love Wobbly Rawless.
I think it's possible, especially if my theory is correct, that he's the one calling the shots. I think we may see Wobbly Rawless in the Funhouse. Maybe Bray's really frustrated or, upset about it, that he had to go, I'm sorry I had to do that to you, Kevin. And then maybe Wobbly Walrus shows up and says, you do what I tell you to do.
Wobbly Walrus. You do what I tell you to do. There you go. There's Wobbly Walrus. Joey's Adventure says they were calling Alexa the Bewitched Goddess a few times. That's cool, dude. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I like it. I dig it. I like it. All right. Well, So, I mean, we got some mixed reactions. Where are they going to go with this? Is it a one and done deal on Friday, or is it going to go into Hell in a Cell? I don't think they do Hell in a Cell without Bray. I think he's definitely going to be there. I mean, they've got that whole cell thing kind of set up almost for him, where you'll have the red lights and all that kind of stuff there. So whatever is going to happen, if they're going to end it with Kevin, they have to end it very quickly and go right into Raw. And if he's on Raw, then they have to start something that very next week, or even plant some seeds for it this week, where you can have maybe somebody interfere. Maybe, like it was said earlier, like I'm not sure if it was Moda, but someone mentioned that something like Aleister Black comes in and interferes. I don't think Bray would go after Aleister Black, but maybe it's Jeff Hardy that comes. I don't know. Like, maybe you'll get the progression of that, and you'll see throughout this week as to what we're going to get, maybe some hints of where this is going to head to.
And Jeff Hardy has been changing as well. Every week he's a little bit more like Willow.
Yeah.
If you look at his makeup. So my fantasy booking, I would love to see Willow versus the Fiend at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would like to see that. Yeah. Big Dan 5309 says, in my opinion, Kevin Owens is keeping Bray busy during the Roman and Jay program. I could see Aleister Black being part of this program also. Look, I'm not going to complain if Aleister gets involved somehow, because I love Aleister Black. I'm not going to complain one bit. But I just don't know, like, I don't know.
What if you get Asuka versus Alexa Bliss inside Hell in a Cell?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm good.
Because now you can't have Hell in a Cell really without Alexa Bliss either.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I'll throw another little tiny swerve out there too, guys, for you. Everybody's saying they want that Bayley Sasha match at Hell in a Cell.
Oh.
I don't think you're going to get it, because here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're splitting them up too. I think that one's going to head to SmackDown, one's going to stay on Raw, vice versa, reverse that, like Willy Wonka. But I think one of them will stay on one show, one will stay on the other, and I don't think we get it. because why would they make a match between those two on a regular show on a Friday night? And they just did. They put the title match up on a Friday night. Why would they do that? Knowing that they're going to lead up to this big, possible, humongous Hell in a Cell match when they're going to throw it on a regular show. I don't think they're going to be there. I think one of them is going to get moved. And then they set that whole big thing, this big culmination of those two up for WrestleMania. That's how I think that's going to go down. I don't think we're going to get it. I know people are saying, how could they do this to us again and keep going? Yeah, guys, they've done it to us before. That thing has been done to, to the point of where everybody was so frustrated. Oh my God, when is this going to happen? They've done it before. So we'll see. We will see. All right. So there you go. Let's get into a little bit of merch before we go. I will tell you guys, I got that Funhouse figure in. Amazing. That figure is done so well. It comes in a box. The Funhouse is on the outside. It has cardboard doors. And when you open the doors of the Funhouse, there is Funhouse Bray and the 4 puppets.
Awesome.
It is really, really done well. Very, very cool figure. If you haven't picked it up, go ahead and do that. Ringside Collectibles, they're very good. They ship out stuff really, really well, and you can get that right away on their website. And then Jodie, I know your son eyed up some merch this week.
He did. So we got that teddy bear, Bray Wyatt teddy bear, and
the dreadlock bear.
Yes, the dreadlock bear. There's actually more for everybody. They've done them for a lot of superstars, but he already has the bleacher creatures of both of them. But I did order him one of the new bears, and he saw it, and I said, Logan, what's that? And he said, the Fiend. Aw, he's so cute.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. So I mean, there's new merch popping up in there all of the time. Almost every week there'll be 2 or 3 pieces of merch that'll get in there for Bray all the time. Things popping up there. So don't forget to go and check that out. So guys, look, man, what a show. Again, we could have gone on for another 2 hours. But we have Raw tonight and we don't want to miss Raw. And when have we said that last? This is a
when Bray was on Raw,
must-see show. And are they? Not only is Vince gonna mess around and put the Fiend, if he puts the Fiend on Raw, what are we gonna do? We might have to move. We might have to move somewhere else. Because if we go on before Raw, we're going to have stuff on from a week ago. And then we're going to go, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's all crazy.
I think we should just go on after Raw.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so many times, like when that happened on Friday, I was itching. I was like, why do we have to wait until Monday?
Jodie was like, oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Things are moving. Things are shaking. It's insane. Speaking of which, I'm going to go over real quick what we've got coming up the rest of the week. So tomorrow night, of course, is Tuesday, and that means Impact. Make sure you join us for Impact Wrestling Tuesday night, 7:30. It's been a blast. We just had a kind of almost a mini pay-per-view on Saturday, Victory Road, which was so cool. And they've got things happening there. They're heading toward Bound for Glory, their next pay-per-view. Wednesday, we've got our podcast, probably with something from Gary Cassidy, and then we'll kind of look back at the week that was on there. On Thursday, we've got a draft special. So people are asking me, Jeff mentioned, get those audio clips in. If you want to hear yourself heard, pick 2 men, 2 women, and tell us in about a minute or so. Don't make them too long. I know I had some people asking how long they want them to be. Can't have them too long. Make them about a minute or so, and just tell us why you want those people moved. Tell us who they are and why you want them moved, and as quick as you can. And send those over to Insiders Wrestling Pod, POD, @gmail.com, and then we will get you guys to throw out some audio comments on that show, which will be a lot of fun. That's going to be great. Sean said he sent his in. Yes, I saw that, Sean. Thank you very much. I had some other people asking me about that. You guys can all do that. Get some audio clips and we'll get you as part of that draft show. That's going to be a lot of fun. Friday, we'll see. We're not too sure about Hot Tag because we might have to move things along a little with that a little bit. We'll see because Brandy has a little bit of a schedule change. So we'll let you know on Hot Tag. tag. But oh man, what a week. And then Friday night we have a match, the first match between the Fiend and Kevin Owens on Friday night on a normal SmackDown. First match, not on a pay-per-view. We've got Bray tonight. We've got Bray on Friday. Vince McMahon wants Bray on NXT. We've got Bray everywhere. And man, we are so glad we could be here for you to talk this all through every single week here in Abby's Window. If you have not done so already, those people watching over on Facebook or anywhere else, come over to YouTube, hit subscribe on our channel to make sure that you get notifications of this show every single week and know when we are going to be on, what time we're going to be on for our other shows as well. Make sure you hit the sub button. Make sure you hit the like button on this video before you guys all head out tonight. And guys, all I can say is enjoy Raw, because I think it's going to be awesome. And when is it? It's been so long since we could say that. So enjoy the show tonight. Really appreciate you guys being here. And listen, have a great, great rest of your night. We will talk to you hopefully all soon. Take care, everybody. Enjoy Raw and let him in.